So now we have the 13th. Maybe you should change places there. You're just. Is there a draft? Oh, okay, that's good. Okay. We're having a stormy, rainy day here in Denmark. And it's, those who feel like being the melancholy Dane are justified today. The hardiest. Happiest. Who said that? Happy? You're the happiest people in the world? Let me put my glasses on. Is that so? Wow. I didn't realize that. At the USR conference. Oh, that we're the happiest. You're the happiest. Well, now I know why I've been coming here for 18 years. Okay. Okay, here we go, everybody. We are going to work on this stanza which relates to color. And then actually I'm going to just turn it over to Anna, who's going to explain it. Correct? Yes, okay. Listen, I'll tell you what, I'll just make you a presenter and there you are. Okay. Through the band of violet that encircleth the heavens passeth the globe of purple dark. It passeth and returneth not. It becometh enwrapped in the blue. 3 times the blue enfoldeth. And when the cycle is completed, the purple fadeth and is merged into the rose, and the path again is traversed. 3 the great colors in the cycle that counteth as the 4th. Violet, blue, and rose, with the basic purple in revolution. 4 are the colors secondary in the cycle of discrimination. Oh yeah, that I want to put an asterisk there because some idea about that came. 4 are the colors secondary in the cycle of discrimination in which the revolution taketh place. It is circled to the midmost point and somewhat past. Yellow the band that cometh, orange the cloud that hideth, and green for vivification. Yet the time is not yet. Many the circling fires, many the revolving rounds, but only when the complementary colors recognize their source, and the whole adjusteth itself to the 7, will be seen completion. Then will be seen each color in adjustment right, and the cessation of revolution. Okay. He doesn't give you a lot to go on, does he? You know, you have to have an anchor point, right? We must have an anchor point. But we will... I'll tell you what, Anne, you all studied this, and you have written a paper on this. Oh, on the colors of them. Mm-hmm. The true colors. On the true colors. Yes. Okay. Is there anything that you would like to say about this stanza before we begin? I can unmute you. if you have something you would like to say initially. Okay, with the rays, you say? Okay. with the rays, possibly. Okay. Yes, I'm not quite sure. I'm working on it. You know, there are 2 spheres, maybe 3. Matter of fact, we get the idea that there is the turning of the planes, the turning of the rays, and you kind of wonder, you know, the rays are turning in this way, north to south, spheres are turning east to west, and you wonder about whether there's a central sphere, as in the wheel of life, or the sphere of life. It could be a wheel, it could be a sphere rather than just a wheel, turning in all directions at once in the center. He calls it the wheel turning upon itself. So there are a number of circles or spheres, and the ray sphere is one. So let us see. What I've said here is that this stanza expresses in terms of color the progress towards completion of the planetary process, but also of the solar systemic and microcosmic processes. Because, you know, as DK says, the law of analogy is the great interpretive law of our system. Through the band of violet that encircleth the heavens. What thought comes to us? You showed that beautiful picture of a violet band surrounding the blue. What was that of? That was a picture, what was being shown there? Did they color, you know how the astronomers are, they sometimes color their pictures. So, it's amazing. Well, if you want to pull that up on your screen, I might be able to do something about it. But when you read this, through the band of violet that encircleth the heavens, what thoughts come to you? Now remember, what we have to do is begin with the color and trace it to that which it might symbolize. Well, Sirius seems to have a blue, it's called blue star, and also has the white spectrum. So I'm not sure that Sirius is the one. Yeah. It's a container of a kind. See, what strikes me is some sort of boundary, as you say, especially of an etheric nature, because violet is the color associated always with the ethers. It's almost as if we're told, interestingly enough, a big hint is that the 4th ether is of color purple. The 3rd ether is of color violet. The 2nd ether of color light violet. And the 1st ether of color lavender. Now right there, that's on the systemic ethers. And he tells us, you know, of the devas that are connected to violet devas. And that is a big hint that we can use as a leverage point in interpreting this. The Buddhic plane, from that point of view, is purple. And then the Atmic plane is violet, and monadic is light violet, and then the sea of fire is lavender, by analogy. So I think we're dealing with an etheric structure here, and I want to differentiate it from purple. I want to differentiate violet from purple, even though they're both in the same family, because I think they have a different meaning. Through the band of violet that encircleth the heavens. Now, what heavens? That's that's a big question. The heavens always represent something that is higher, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the literal heavens at all. Maybe there's even it could be actually cosmic, like you say, could contain that, and it could be simply, we're told that the real physical body of the planetary logoi and planetary chains is etheric. We're told that the physical body is the etheric body when we're considering the lords of the planetary schemes. And the outer, in a way, the outer skin, if you will, or the outer boundary is etheric and, of course, dense. So if you're looking at a fruit, then the peeling on that fruit is represented by violet or the purple. It's the densest part of the constitution of whatever you're dealing with. So in a way, it is a barrier. You know, it forms kind of a container which holds within it all of the softer stuff. And so it is for our microcosm as well. Now, it is the outer part, and yet the other parts of the aura extend beyond it. And yet it's considered outer because it's slower in vibration. It has to do with race 7, definitely. But now, I don't think that this particular ancient stanza is looking forward. Well, it might later have something to do with the 7th ray age. Let us see. It could. It has to do with a final adjustment which involves reconciling the whole to the 7. Whether that will be completely done in the Aquarian age, I don't think completely so, but there will come a time when it will be done. So, this is the sphere of the etheric body. A band is a sphere. Okay? A band is a sphere. And we'll be looking forward to that of the other colors, the color of which is characteristically violet. Through the band of violet passeth the globe of purple dark. Now, if you look, of the 5 non-sacred planets, I'm going to, start building the thought here. Let's see, how does it go? I'm going to go someplace with this, and I'll see if we can follow this. So, of the 5 non-sacred planets, what does the moon represent? Or let's look at all of them. What do they represent? And I'm going to look at it this way. Sun, aham kara, personality. Pluto, the mind. Mind. That's good old plural. Mars, many things, but the astral body. There's another one here, okay? I'm going someplace with this. Think along with me. Earth. These are the 5 non-sacred planets, right? The etheric body. Moon. Okay. Now, this is interesting because the color of the moon, aham karana, I like that. Aham kara. The color of the moon is purple or violet. And that's given on the chart on page 35 of Esoteric Astrology. Color of the moon is considered purple or violet. Color of Cancer, which the moon rules, purple or violet. And Cancer, oh here, let's do it this way. Considered. And Cancer, let's do it this way. Now look at this. Aries rules mental body. Taurus, from Esoteric Astrology, okay. Gemini, okay, and Cancer, again, dense physical body. Cancer was very active in the solar system of the past. Cancer was the sign that ruled the entire first part of the previous very material major solar system, called the first major solar system. And so the matter that has been brought into our solar system for redemption is very much connected with the dense physical body of the solar logos, and the most dense is ruled by Cancer, namely the physical stuff of the lower three planes, lower three subplanes. Now, what am I getting at? What I'm doing here, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm making a justification. I'm saying that the dense physical body is symbolized by purple. That's my point. You see the thought process that went into it? The moon is the outer rind. Of the 5 non-sacred planets, the moon represents that which is most external. Of the 4 first signs of the zodiac, Cancer represents that which is most external. Yes. In other words, now, okay, let me add to it. The 4 ethers have these colors, which I just said. First, lavender. Second, light violet. Third, violet. Fourth, purple. So you see how the correspondences work? The 4th term here, Cancer, and the 4th ether are purple. So there is an equivalence. And also, when you look at the 5 non-sacred planets, the personality is ruled by the sun. And finally, the dense outer shell is ruled by the moon, which is violet purple. In other words, I'm making a justification here for the idea that passeth the globe of purple dark is our globe. That's what I'm saying. Because, let's look at the globes. Let's look at the globe. When you look at the structure of our planetary chain, yeah, that's, what do you see? Well, often they're not, suffice it to say, they're not always drawn this way. They're sometimes drawn 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, we're right at the bottom. Our planetary globe is at the bottom, in the same place as the Cancer or the Moon position would be at the bottom of the chart. So and how many physical globes do we have in our planetary chain? How many? Well, let's look at that. How many physical globes in our planetary chain? Just one. In our PLT chain, only one, ours. So we are the only globe that has a physical shell. Others have an etheric shell, all of them, but not all of them, but others have the outer astral shell, others have the outer mental shell. Some of them, don't have astral or etheric or physical. Only one has physical. So I'm making a case for the fact that the densest layer of matter in our solar system is symbolized by purple. That's the case I'm trying to make. And do you see why I'm doing it? More or less. Case for the symbolism of dense physical matter being purple. Because it's ruled, again, seventh ray, fourth position, and related to the dense, to the ray which rules outer density, the seventh. Now, if we anchor that thought in our minds, when we refer to purple in this stanza, we are referring to something foundational, basic, outer, and old. You know what was really interesting to me? This is just a hint, but the colors used by the Black Lodge are green, purple, and brown. And also, grayish dark shades. Well, it's not enough to say green. I'll fill in the details. DK makes it a little more repulsive than that. He says, lurid green, lurid green, I'm in the wrong place, lurid green, and you remember this word? This is a horrible word. Loathsome purple. Lurid green and loathsome purple. He uses the word L, which is the 12, which sums to 3. It's all about the previous aspect. It's all about the third aspect. Because green rules the outer shell when you consider only the first 3 rays, and purple rules the outer shell when you consider the 7 rays. And then, of course, brown and so forth. Muddy brown, which is all about refuse. So the Black Lodge is the defender of the third aspect of divinity, using first ray methods to do so. And also other methods, but they are particularly first ray souls with third ray monads. That's mostly what they are. So they are particularly interested in preserving the material way of life. So purple has a very strong association with them, with the outer shell, with density. And in a minute you're going to see that DK actually says so. So purple is also the color of the fourth lowest ether. I said that. It passeth and returneth not. What does that mean? Suppose the purple passes and returns not, and we're talking here about a globe of dark purple which passes and returneth not. What do you think he means? Okay, that's not a bad idea. Could it be the moon, which once had a physical outer expression of dense physical matter? Could be. But in general, whether it's the moon, whether it's our Earth globe, or whether it is the dense globe of any planetary chain, something is happening in our form-building universe, in our solar system. Something is happening to density in our second ray form-building solar system. Density's days are numbered because the type of substance energy which accounts for density is of a very old solar system and is not going to be around forever. So what happens when we start to become more and more refined in our understanding and expression of energy? Do you think we need to carry around a dense physical shell all the time in order to be human? Do you think our planetary logos needs to carry around a dense physical shell in order to be a dragon of wisdom or an expressive logos? Do you think our solar logos, who has not yet recovered from the previous solar system, needs to carry around a dense physical shell necessarily when the etheric body is said to be the physical body of his planets? You see what I'm driving at? In other words, yes. So the light can get through. Yes, yes. So an etheric body would do just fine. So we don't necessarily need deep purple. We need violet. And there will come a time when it will be, in fact, the truth that the etheric body is our physical body. As he already says, the real body, the real physical body of these planets is the etheric body. Of human beings, it will also be said the same. So a process of etherealization is working. Ever since the turn has been made, our solar system is just about halfway through, maybe a little more. Our planet is what? Is our planetary process halfway through, or certainly a little more? We're on the upward turn. And the upward turn will lead to what I call etherealization, or such a refinement of outer dense matter that it begins to evaporate. It begins to become so fine as to become etheric. It'll be the etherealization of dense matter. This is what I predict. And through the process of etherealization, the sphere of density will pass and disappear. It will not re-precipitate in that form. In other words, the globe of purple dark passeth and returneth not. A globe is a globe, a chain is a globe, a planetary scheme is a globe, a solar system is a globe. They're all spheres. And so the outer rind will pass. Can we be dealing with the gradual etherealization of the planetary chain? Yes. And of a globe? Yes. And of a scheme? Yes. And of the dense physical nature of all planets in our solar system eventually. Purple. So outside the wall of purple, outside the wall of violet is purple. The real physical body is violet. Outside is purple. It becometh enwrapped in blue. Okay, that globe of violet, or of purple dark, which passeth and returneth not in its dense precipitated condition. Let's just say the globe, generically, the globe can be the outer shell of any structure in our solar system, including the solar system, the solar system itself. So there's a lot of things in our solar system which have a dense outer layer, but mostly it's seen in planets. And especially in the fourth globe, sometimes the third globe of planets, there is a shell made of the stuff of the previous solar system. Now, that globe of purple dark becometh enwrapped in blue. And, before, giving you my thoughts on that, I'd like to see what you think. What is this process? Why blue? Remember, the globe is going somewhere. It's fading away, isn't it? A certain layer is fading away, right? A certain layer of the expression of our solar logos is fading away and will not return. What's blue, and why blue? Blue is a ray 2 color. It's important. It's the most absorbent color. Yes. And remember, we talked about, is Buddhi violet, blue, or yellow? One of those unanswerable questions, as DK said, and we decided that we decided it was all of them. It was violet for the solar logos, blue for the planetary logos, and yellow for man. We decided that. And actually, Victoria in New Zealand, she does a lot of work with color too, as you do. Indeed. And she came up with that solution. I think it was a very good one. It just has to do with where you start numbering the planes. But anyway, blue stands for two things. Blue stands for the astral plane, the blue ocean. So it is the plane right next to the etheric physical plane. Bordering on the violet and purple is the blue. But we learned a few days ago that blue stands for something more. Blue actually stands with rose for the crystal cave. Remember? And then we turned to the story of man's evolution through color, and we found that there was a rosy cross against an oval of blue that lay ahead when you went through the tunnel of wailing and gnashing of teeth and all of that, distress. There was the cross. And you had to overturn the cross and go out into the wide world of life, right? So, since the shape of the causal body is either a circle or a oval, that blue and that rose cross stood for color conditions within the causal body, which you had to transcend. So blue is two things, along with rose. It stands for the astral body, and it stands for the reflection of the soul, which is the astral body, and it stands for the soul itself reflected in the astral body. So the soul has this general idea of the transmutated red which is related to the sixth ray and is the rose, and it has the quality of blue, and so does the astral body. Remember, the monad is reflected in the monadic ray is reflected in the mental ray. The soul ray is reflected in the, just go down, emotional ray. The personality ray is reflected in the physical body and its ray. See how it goes? Like that. So there is a definite connection between the soul, generically, and the astral body. The soul is reflected most in the astral body. They go together, they're of the same quality, they're on the same line, etc. It becometh enwrapped in blue. So, when the dark purple fades away, and when the violet disappears, it becometh enwrapped in blue. Now, let's start with you. Let's say you die. Purple is gone immediately. In a few days, violet is gone. Then where are you? It's very short. The violet is the etheric body. It doesn't last long. Then you're out in the blue, aren't you? You're in the blue of the astral plane, aren't you, for a while? However long it may take, like Master Morya calls it, 40 days wandering in the wilderness. He says, go fast and don't get attached. He says, just rise up and leave it. It's the wilderness. But from purple to violet to blue, you've lost your outer shell. Pretty soon you lose your etheric vitality, unless you decide you want to hang around and haunt somebody on the outer plane. Then you could use the little violet for a while. But then you resolve into blue, don't you? Now that's one way of looking at this. It passeth from purple, violet into blue. That's one way of doing it. There's another way. Another way. So wrapped in the blue becomes the purple violet. It can be absorbed in the synthetic blue of indigo. As you said, the second ray color, the most absorbing color, and we can be dealing with the merging of the etheric physical plane into the astral plane, whether considering this merging in relation to the solar system or a planetary scheme, or eventually that which is the soul and whose generic color is blue, the pervasive blue with rose, will absorb the life which is leaving the dense physical plane. So there's several stages of absorption. You're absorbed into the blue, and eventually the entire personality is absorbed into the higher blue, which is the causal body. So it's a sine wave, and you die, and here you are, absorbed into the blue, and then come down again into incarnation, and you die, and you're absorbed into the blue and the rose of the causal body. Now, some people who die, they have a kind of continuity of consciousness, and they don't have to lose their astral body, and they don't have to lose their mental body, and they're ready to incarnate much faster. And he says, you know, if you can establish a degree of continuity of consciousness, then I suppose the opening of the sixth petal of the egoic lotus, then you can do that, I suppose. And given the crisis on the planet, you know, maybe that's a good thing to do. So we are, in other words, this is the story of how purple and violet are absorbed into blue, two kinds of blue, enwrapped in blue. Does that, you know, does that speculation appeal to the reason? That's the point. Because what we're trying to do, all of us, is to develop a condition of pure reason, which means that we have the intuition active, and we can begin to look at life and see how it all fits together without illusion. We dispel illusion and have pure reason. But I've often thought to myself, although reasoning is not pure reason, reasoning of a clear kind is a good way of approaching pure reason. Because one day everything just flashes in front of you, thus it is. And then reason can take the trail and say, well, this is how I got here. Or reasoning can start out on a trail, and as it gets closer to the truth, the flash comes. Okay, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to speak of the meaning of these colors in terms of microcosmic, planetary, solar systemic structure. That's what I'm trying to do, and process. Okay, now moving on. 3 times the blue enfoldeth. 3 times the blue enfoldeth. What do you think? Okay. Okay. What if our subject is the transformations of our solar system and its gradual etherealization? What if that? What if our main subject here, what if our main subject is the changes in the solar system through the incarnational process? See, I mean, are we talking about a man? We could. Are we talking about a planet? We could. But what if we're really talking about the solar system? Then what could this mean? 3 times the blue enfoldeth. What happens? What do you have to do before you get to the blue? Yes, you have to die, which is a kind of initiation. Yes, I'm sure it's an initiation. You know, seeing all your relatives again. Oh, hi. Hello, Aunt Mabel. Yes. Good to see you. Lunch? Okay. Right. Yeah, you have to die. You have to disappear from the physical plane. So, you know, we die quite a bit. I don't know how many lives we have, but I once calculated it could be about 10,000. But then again, I don't have the secrets of the inner cycles, because there's long periods when groups of souls are not in incarnation. So you can't just say 100 in, 100 out, you know, like that. So you have to die. But what if we're on the solar systemic level? What are we talking about now? We could talk about the incarnations of a human being going from purple, violet to blue. What if we're talking about solar systems? What then? Make an analogy. What do you have? Well, they are kinds of pralaya. Does the solar logos die? Of course. Well, that's what death is. Does the solar logos lose his body? The answer has to be yes, or there would not be 5 solar systems so far. Right? And of those solar systems, 3 are major. Which 3 are major solar systems? Are we living in one right now? Yes, we are. Was the previous solar system a major system? Yes. Will the next one be? Yes. 3 times the blue enfoldeth. In this process of gradually working away the density through which our solar logos is manifesting. There are 3 major systems, and each one of them ends through absorption into the cosmic astral plane. The solar system, as we now have it, only exists on these planes, only on these planes. This is the solar system here, only here. And when the solar system dies, the life is abstracted onto the cosmic astral plane and then into the causal body of the solar logos, there to wait for the next expression. So 3 times in major solar systems, maybe more, but 3 times anyway, the blue envelopeth, and the solar system disappears. Now, maybe, of course I'm speculating here. I don't even know whether density will be needed in the next solar system. I'm not sure. Because we're in that process of enveloping, of etherealizing dense matter. But what do we have to know about this? Basically, that a number of times that which stands for blue, the astral plane or the causal body, absorbs the outer plane and it disappears. The second 3 major, not second-ray solar systems, but 3 major solar systems, because the soul ray of the solar logos is the second, represented by the blue. 3 major second-ray solar systems. Now I understand. Second-ray solar systems, because all of our solar systems are second-ray systems, because our soul ray of our solar logos is what ray? Ray 2? Ray 2. So it doesn't make any difference if you have a third-ray personality like the last system, a second-ray personality like this system, or a first-ray personality like the next system, speculating. They're all second-ray systems. And especially now that the soul can really come through. This is the major second-ray system, because the soul can really come through. So whatever the blue stands for, whether the astral plane or the interior of the causal body, which absorbs the entire solar logoic personality, these outer colors will be absorbed into the blue, which is the most synthetic color. So the blue absorbs and synthesizes the outer purple and violet, and also the lesser blue and lesser orange of the astral plane, of the cosmic astral body, cosmic astral plane body, and the cosmic mental plane body of the solar logos. And then the cycle, and when the cycle is completed, the purple fadeth. Now, the outer part fades. Yes, go ahead, please. Well, it's not given, but the most absorbent kind is the indigo. He considers that to be the great absorber. And the second ray is absolutely the ray which is most absorbent. So Anna found that list the other day, indigo and another color, indigo green, indigo all the time. So finally, indigo has to be involved in the final absorption of the personality, because the soul itself is a second ray structure, and indigo is the main second ray color. So I can't be too particular. I can't know all these discriminations. I'm just trying to look at it in the, somewhat general sense. Blue is absorptive. And purple, which represents outer life, in this case, is absorbed. And that's the important thing to know. And the most important thing to know, when the cycle is completed, the purple fadeth. He didn't say the violet fades completely. There will be no more solar systems. The solar systems are expressed on the cosmic physical plane, the color of which may be considered purple and violet. When the cycle is completed, that's it. And maybe even in the next solar system there will be no purple. Maybe there will just be violet. Maybe, in other words, maybe just etheric. Maybe no real density. In other words, maybe in the next solar system there will be no more first solar system matter to express through, but only etheric matter. Now, it still may be considered first solar system matter, but no more, I'll change it slightly, what I just said. No more densest first solar system matter. Maybe, yes, well, that's what it is. Yeah. It has to pass 3 times, but the question is, what has to pass 3 times? The 3 times the blue enfoldeth what? Always purple, or sometimes violet, purple and violet together? It doesn't exactly say. All we know is that there has to be a death 3 times of something of the purple shade. Will it be purple and violet, or just violet? I'm just speculating. Will purple be gone in the next solar system? That's what because to me, purple is complete density. And I showed the symbolic reason why I think so. But violet is the true physical body of the planetary spheres, we are told. I wish I could look it up. I don't want to take the time, but suffice it to say, it is there, that for Mars, especially for the Earth and one other planet, which have this a more physical nature, he specifies that the true physical body is the etheric one, implying that you can do without the other one. So somehow, 3 times something is absorbed. Now I can't go back and say, why is it not absorbed for system 1, 2, or 3? It's oftentimes because he doesn't count those earlier 3 solar systems. He just starts with the last one. So I think he's talking about the incarnations of the solar logos, which, when they elapse, when they finish, the blue always absorbs the purple violet, or just the violet. But the blue does absorb, yes. He deals with 2 words: absorption, synthesis, and obscuration, 3 words. It's part of the synthesizing process at the end of the solar system. And it started as one planet begins to absorb another, and as you're left with one final absorber, which, by the way, I think is Neptune. And then because it's blue, and it's absorbed, a second ray monad, and it's absorbed into the sun finally, the one synthesizer. I believe that Neptune has a lot to do with the heart of the sun, but it's not exclusively the heart of the sun, because, believe it or not, Vulcan is connected with it. Let me go back here for a second, and that's the one I want to show. All these get absorbed into Saturn, and I've dealt with this in my commentaries quite a bit, but let's just suffice it to say Mercury gets absorbed into Uranus and Venus gets absorbed into Neptune. But maybe not before they are absorbed into Saturn. And it's not the outer crust that gets absorbed. It's the inner principles that get absorbed. So when a lesser planet is being absorbed by a greater planet, it's not like suddenly all the rocks and all the rest of it get absorbed. It's the inner form that gets absorbed. And then we're left with two, Neptune and Uranus. And the big question is, well, Uranus is the superior planet. Uranus is a ray 1 monad. Uranus is obviously the final absorber, but maybe not. Maybe in this solar system, a planet with a ray 2 monad is the one that absorbs. And then it gets absorbed, as you say, because it has so much to do with the heart of the sun and so forth, into some aspect of the sun. And in the next solar system, the ray 1 solar system, then Uranus becomes the final absorber. Okay, but this story is about getting rid of the dense physicality of our solar system because it's being outlived, I believe. Now, this is speculative, obviously, but you have to put up a speculation before people can think about it. This makes sense, this doesn't make sense, and so forth. Okay. So we're talking about getting rid of, temporarily at least purple, and maybe even at the end of the third solar system, getting rid of violet as well. 3 times the blue enfoldeth, and then the cycle, and when the cycle is completed, the purple fadeth, never to come again. So all forms of physical or etheric nature fade out. There will be the etherealization of matter. Purple compared to violet is materiality compared with ethereality, the ethers. The redeemed astral plane will receive the energy. This redeemed astral energy is represented by the color rose. Master Kuthumi works with the blue and rose devas. He has a particular, since he's working with the reappearance of the Christ particularly, and the Christ is very interested in redeeming the astral plane, which is the cause of so much trouble, then the blue and the rose devas are very important. The Dalai Lama seems to be working with that as well in a certain way, helping to redeem the astral body of humanity. And so this process can be seen microcosmically as well. So basically what happens is the blue and the rose absorbs the purple and the violet. And definitely the purple. The purple goes. The density goes. Now he says, this is maybe in your paper, Anne, but he says some of the information given in the secret doctrine, anent color and sound, concerns the first solar system, and some concerns a portion of the second solar system. He's being very evasive here. The distinction has naturally not been apprehended, but as a key fact for studying in the newer school, the revelation will be great. In this statement as to the esoteric significance of the colors, I would have you now tabulate, even though it can be found in the secret doctrine, in order to form the basis of such later communications as I may seek to impart. This is in a 90-year-old book called Letters on Occult Meditation, which obviously no longer is of use because it's 90 years old. Right? Maybe not right, huh? Maybe not right. Okay. Purple has an esoteric blue. Those are kind of colors related to Jupiter. Yellow has an esoteric indigo, which suggests the Buddhic plane. Cream color is esoterically yellow, and exoteric white is violet. You've tabulated these, Anne? This is interesting here.
Michael.
Yes, Tuya. Yes, go ahead. Speak.
Yes, just note that he says in different places that the exoteric violet and esoteric white, and that is very strange.
He reverses it.
But we should sometimes study that, what does that actually mean, because he says the opposite.
I agree with you. There are many blinds and confusions. I just wanted to include this because purple and blue were listed together, and we're talking about getting rid of the purple. The outer...
Yes, but you should...
Yes. I agree with you.
You should write underneath the opposite, because he does use also the opposite, that the violet is exoteric and white is esoteric.
Okay, okay. Sometimes the opposite with white and violet. Yeah, well, we're not going to get into, but you know, we do need to make a really exhaustive study of the colors. And this is, but what we're doing now is we're seeing what cosmic structures the colors stand for. And that's a different thing, right? Okay. Anyway, there's a Jupiterian connotation with purple and blue. There is a Buddhic connotation with yellow and indigo. And I can't say too much about cream and yellow. Not yet, anyway. Do you have any thoughts about cream and yellow? When whipped cream turns yellow, we don't eat it. Okay, white and violet. Well, there we have this whole idea of synthesis. White is the most synthetic non-color, and in this respect, violet is the color of synthesis, especially in relation to the seventh ray. It's almost like the first ray and the seventh meeting. But here we go. Yes. Aha. Cream is a light brown. Okay, interesting. And then what would we say about that? What would it mean? Yeah, so there is a transmutation into intelligence and a readiness to move to the second solar system. Okay, that's a good way of looking at it. Okay, so we go on and we say, and when the cycle is completed, purple fadeth and is merged into the rose of the astral plane, and the path is again traversed. What does it mean to us, and the path is again? Path again is traversed. That we're ready for another incarnation? That we're ready to move on? The path of aspiration and evolution continue. The path may lead forward and away from old forms, possibly towards the new. We are ready to move on into another form through the incarnational process. Crossed. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I know what you mean. It doesn't make sense to me that way. I mean, it's correct, but it doesn't, you know, we traverse the path, we go across it is one way of doing it, right? To go across the path, or to, you might like say, well, we step over the path. We traverse it, we cut it. But I don't think it means that. It means going from point A to point B, we traverse this section of the path. Sometimes, but that is also possibly. I traversed this road. I went across this road, not just athwart it, but I traveled this length of the road. I traversed it. I traversed the distance between point A and B on the path. That's another way of looking at it. So let's put that down, as you say. Watch the meaning of traversed. Does it mean step across, or traversing, passing through a section of the path from point A, oh, that won't work, point A to point B. It can mean that. So anyway, let's just say when you get rid of your physical expression, you're ready for a new phase after going through the death of, on the internal planes. 3, the great colors in the cycle that counteth as the fourth. What does that suggest to you? 3, the great colors in the cycle that counteth as the fourth. What is the cycle that counteth as the fourth? What could it be? Well, it's the great cycle that counteth as the fourth. I hear he's very specific, but I first want to try to evoke from your thought what you think it could be. The number 4 is very important to us these days. Well, okay, but it's a cycle. Is the kingdom a cycle? We are in the fourth kingdom. We are in the fourth creative hierarchy. Around. Absolutely. And so I looked up on page 600 of A Treatise on Cosmic Fire. He tells you the most important rays and numbers of different cycles. I was looking, is there any hint? I didn't find any, actually, but I thought it would be worth looking. 3, the great colors in the cycle that counteth as the fourth. We are speaking of the fourth round, either the fourth chain round or the fourth scheme round. But I believe it's the fourth chain round, because he says something very specific. Okay. We talked about what kind of rounds there can be, right? In a chain, in a scheme, and in a solar system, a solar systemic round. It's as if the life of the Logos passes around his different planetary logoi, emphasizing them in different ways on different points of the spiral. As if the sun was a planetary logos and the planetary schemes were chains. So that would be a round too. Probably the whole idea of rounds, probably, if you have 7 solar systems together, 7 major suns, and he talks about the 7 solar systems of which ours is one, there's probably a round in that as well. And probably if you have 7 constellations, which we have when we're talking about the chakras of the one about whom naught may be said, there's probably some process which treats them as if they were a planetary scheme and goes around and around through those constellations which are chakras. Because we've already decided that cyclic process is the way of assuring the assimilation of the greater by the lesser. We already decided that you can't just throw everything you've got at a lesser system because you will overwhelm it. It's like too much voltage, you know. You have to feed it. You'll burn it out. Or is it amps or volts that burn things out? We just had the experience the other night. Something exploded. Too much went through the fuse. 240 volts went through 110 fuse and exploded. But maybe if we had given the juice just a little bit at a time and not in one big jolt, that wouldn't have happened. So cycles are a protective mechanism. It's a method of gifting the lower with that which is within the higher. Would you like to spend, let's just say that, like Madame Blavatsky, you like Master Morya very much. And would you like to be in the room with him 24 hours a day? Or would it be sufficient to spend 5 minutes? What do you think your system could take? You see what I mean? I mean, when we're dealing, the masters have to be really careful how much of themselves they expose in radiation to those who are devoted and so forth, because the devotees just can't take it. They get terribly overstimulated and all kinds of things will happen, and you can result in burnout. So the greater source, see, why doesn't the sun say, hey, all you planets, come on, your orbit's pretty far out there. Why don't you all come a little closer, like inside the orbit of Vulcan? Come closer, Be with me all the time. There would be a problem, wouldn't there? Because these other planets couldn't take it, could they? Obviously, they'd be all burned up, wouldn't they? So sometimes when a greater source keeps its distance, it's a good thing. You know what I mean? And in the case of the Solar Logos, that distance is perfectly measured according to the function of the particular planet involved. Exactly. There's a mathematical reason. It's sometimes called Bode's law, and there are other laws that even account for Neptune, because Neptune's orbit is not accounted for by Bode's law. So we know there's a mathematics behind it, but there's more than a mathematics. The mathematics is the symbol of the best type of relationship to allow purpose to emerge. In other words, don't get too close. That's what the story is. If you get too close to a great source, like Master Morya says, okay, here is a picture of him or some great being communicating with a fiery being. There's a man on the ground, and there's this fiery being in the air. And he, obviously there's some kind of conversation going on, but he talks about how a communication with a fiery being can stop your heart, can kill you, all the rest of it. Don't get too close for too long. And that's the reason why Shambhala is so careful about its touches to humanity or to the planet. Exquisitely measured. Okay. Why did I get onto that? There must have been a reason. 3 great colors in the cycle that counteth as the 4th, and that's the 4th round, violet, blue, and rose, and here's the hint, with the basic purple. When you read the word basic purple, what does it tell you? Basic. That is what? Without light. Okay, it's the darkest in a way. And it's also foundational. The 3rd ray is called the builder of the foundation, meaning that whatever came from the previous solar system is used as the primordial ray in this solar system and is considered the foundation of this solar system, but not the objective. So purple is basic, foundational, substantial, underlying, supportive. Basic is the bottom. Purple is the bottom. It's the outer shell. See, that's the convincing word about the nature of purple compared to violet. Well, there's enough correspondential proofs to indicate that. So it's violet, blue, and rose. Well, these are the most important colors in this round. Now, a round goes through through let's say 7 globes, and the violet globe would be number 7. In a way, number 7. Of course, you can do it the other way too. Excuse me. The blue globe would be number 6 or number 2. Maybe number 2. The rose globe would be what? 6. So we've got the numbers 2, 6, and 7, possibly, with a basic purple. Well, I think, basic is like the foundational tone, and it will only appear on globe 4. And as far as that goes, if violet represents the etheric vehicles, there's only certain globes that have etheric vehicles in our planetary chain. Which globes do you think they would be? There are 7, usually considered 7 globes. There may be 10, as 3 may be interior, but which globes do you think would have an etheric vehicle, and why? Well, ours does, doesn't it? Globe 4, right? We're at the bottom of the barrel, and not only do we have an etheric vehicle, we have a dense physical vehicle, and the two are one. So in a way, purple and violet are one. Violet is a refinement of purple. Now, what other globes would have an etheric vehicle? And why? Have you seen the globes ever arranged like this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like this. 4, 3, 5, 2, 6, 1, 7. So you would say violet is ethereality. It's the closest thing to physicality. If violet is the closest thing to physicality, it won't be up here, will it? It'll be down here. So probably globes 3 and 5 are the two that would have an etheric vehicle too. Of course, we do have to say that globe number 7 up here would be correlated with the color violet. But then we have to remember that the Buddhic plane can also be violet. See, all of these all of these globes drop the lower portion as they rise, but they all have a higher portion. The higher portion goes all the way up to the monad, because a globe is the body of a great planetary being called a globe lord. A globe lord. Do we imagine the globe lords don't have monads? We imagine they do. So they need all the higher principles, but they may be able to drop off some of the lower ones. And one thing that is said is that every self-conscious being at least shares a mental body. That's the one way of communication between all the beings in cosmos. At least they have the mental body if they are self-conscious. So we don't expect to find any globes of the normal kind anyway that don't have some mental vehicle connected with them. Anyway, violet, rose, and blue. So let's see something with the basic purple. And now this is enigmatic to me. Unless it's violet, rose, and blue with the basic purple in revolution. Is it the basic purple in revolution? Or is it violet, rose, and blue with the basic purple in revolution? See what I mean? In other words, violets in revolution, blues in revolution, rose in revolution, and they have the basic purple, which probably doesn't revolve, but the others are in revolution. In other words, does your dense physical body revolve? Dense? I mean, there's probably circulation of cells and different kinds of things, but it doesn't really revolve. But the other vehicles, they do revolve. Maybe even the etheric body revolves. Certainly the astral body does, certainly the mental body does. So is there a comma here, as it were? All right. So I say this should be checked out against TCF 600 to see what are the most important rounds. No, so I went here. And I imagine that this has to do not just with our planet, but with our solar system. Of the 7 rays, the major ones at this time are rays 1, 2, and 7. Of the principles, there are 3 major and 4 subsidiary. The monad, ego, and personality are the most important. Well, those are the periodical vehicles. Now, this was enigmatic, I thought. There are 7 chains, but you know, if you've read Theosophy, you understand an interesting thing, that HPB and some of those authors don't use the word chains in the same way DK does. They look at a whole planetary scheme and they call it a chain. See? And DK introduces the idea of the planetary scheme, which has chains. But the Theosophists just looked at the planet in general and called it a chain. So the question is, are these 7 chains of the Earth scheme, or are they actually sort of planets in our solar system? And I'm inclined to think they may be planets. I'm not sure. Anyway, the chains that are important are 1, 4, 7. Now, if we're dealing with our own a planetary scheme, the Earth scheme, then our chain is important, right? To our planetary logos. And so is the first, and so is the final 7th. Okay. But if we're dealing with our solar logos, then what are the chains? How are they numbered? The one thing we can be sure is that our chain is the 4th. And it's important. In other words, our planetary scheme is the 4th, and it's very important. Well, because the solar logos is taking an initiation through our planetary scheme. A minor 4th initiation, which is causing plenty of trouble for those for whom it is not minor. So many 4s. The solar logos is undergoing a kind of 4th initiation. The planetary logos is undergoing a 4th initiation. It all lands right here on the Earth. 4th chain, 4th scheme, 4th globe. So I'm not sure about that word chains, because I wonder if we're going back to the theosophical idea. If we go here to page 600, you'll see how it's laid out. DK doesn't he doesn't tell you what he's doing. See what I mean? He doesn't tell you, okay, now I've gone to the planet. Maybe he has gone to the planet, but maybe not. Okay, planes, because when we talk about planes, we can talk about planes of our planetary logos and his vehicles on them, or we can talk about solar systemic planes. Anyway, it doesn't make any difference. What are the major planes? The monadic, the mental, and the physical, and that makes a lot of sense. So does this tell us anything about major colors? Now, what are manvantaras? And how are they different from rounds? Manvantaras and rounds can be considered the same thing, or a manvantara can be considered 1 day of Brahm. But if it's 1 day of Brahm and there's 360 days, then how are we going to make that fit with the 7 rays and the colors? We can't. So are these larger rounds that we're talking about? Are they solar systemic rounds, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 7th? This is just speculation for the future. Anyway, now we come to rounds. And since DK normally doesn't talk about solar systemic rounds, at this point we can say, okay, we're in a planetary ring pass knot. And as it's not our business to be in other planetary ring pass knots, we might as well be in our own. In which case, the major rounds are the ones we're in right now. Round 4, round 5, and round 7. Are we in round 4 now? Yes, we are. So we're in the middle of a major round. Well, can we compare this round, can we compare these numbers with a color? Number 4 would kind of be yellow, wouldn't it? Number 5 would be orange. Number 7 would be purple. That doesn't exactly fit what he says are the major colors of our present round. What did he say? Violet, That's there. Blue, that's not there. And what was the other one? Rose. That's not there. Root races were definitely on our planet now. And we're in a major root race. He doesn't consider the Atlantean root race major. 3, 5, and 7. Sub-races, we don't have to get into it, etc. We don't have to get into it. So maybe we didn't learn that much by trying to make a number and color correspondence. He basically says violet, blue, and rose with the basic purple in revolution. I'd like to think of all of these colors as being in revolution and not just the basic purple in revolution. It doesn't make as much sense to me. Okay, so violet suggests an etheric emphasis. Blue and rose suggest the astral emphasis, combining the second and sixth rays, the rose of redemption, and the blue of the second ray. Purple is basic. It refers to the dense physical plane in solar and cosmic contexts. The causal body of blue and rose absorbs the energies and forces of all the lesser planes. The following shows blue and rose in the causal body. And we've just been through this. Shineth the walls with azure tint, bathed in the light of rose. That is the body iridescence, the causal body, blue and rose, regardless of what your ray may be, because it's just the generic color of the quality of this vehicle. And then again, far off, dim and most vaguely seen, appears an oval opening, its color blue. Stretched athwart the space of blue, a rosy cross is seen. Okay, so that's the blue and rose of the causal body again. The blue and rose of the astral body initially absorb the disappearing ethers after the physical plane death. So we have three primary colors and a basic purple. What does it say to you? The colors are, this is in our round, the fourth round. Violet, blue, rose. What does it say? Does it say anything to us? I mean, what are we supposed to do in our round that might make these things important? Okay. Shall we say that you say it's the love coming in? Shall we say that somehow in our round, number 4, the second ray soul of our planet, through the reappearance of the Christ and the coming of the hierarchy, will again be of really manifested importance on our planet? Can we say that? Why? Blue and rose, the love coming in, reappearance of Christ, and the appearance of the second ray soul of our planetary logos in this round. And why then purple? I can never spell purple that I spell purpose. Why purple? What would there be about our round that would make purple important? Remember, or is it purple, not purple, violet? Violet. What about the last round? Well, I think we're talking about violet. You know, purple's always there, basic, but it's violet somehow. We don't know what it was from the last round. We don't know what were the important colors from the last round. He doesn't tell us. And we, you know, it's crazy to try to guess it exactly. I bet green is there, you know. Something has to be manifested. The number 4 is a number of manifestation. Okay? Let's just say 4 is a number of manifestation, and so is 7. and so is 7. In the 4th position, you have the dense physical vehicle, mind, emotions, ether, and now you manifest it. So, something of the divine plan is anchored in this round. It will be the love aspect, blue, rose, anchored etherically, violet, in this round. So this round is very important for manifesting the soul of our planetary logos in a visible manner. Second ray in a visible manner. In other words, something has to be manifested. We're also told, interesting thing, that this is the 7th time that the 7th ray has appeared with the sign Aquarius during the 5th root race. And there was even more interesting statement about the 7th ray and Aquarius. But let's just say, for about 1 million years and more, we have had the Aryan, we've had the 5th root race, right, which we call the Aryan. The coming together in 2 different cycles of the age of Aquarius and the 5th and the 7th ray has happened 7 times, and this is the 7th. So it's going to be tremendously important for manifesting the hierarchy at this time. You could almost say that what's going on now is of very great importance to the entire planetary scheme, that it succeed in this round. Anyway, we bear in mind blue, rose, and purple are important in this round. And we're trying to find the reasons why that should be so. And we know that 4 is Buddhi. It's attuned to the love wisdom aspect, which is the soul of the planetary logos, and it's coming into manifestation. In other words, the rose and the blue are coming into the violet for manifestation, incidentally affecting the purple if they can make the way into the density of matter. Purple is also 7th ray. It's just a deeper aspect of it. See, those are all the 7th ray colors. It's just that it has a greater density to it because it's related. You said purple, right? Purple. It's a denser 7th ray. Okay. Okay, that's a good point. That's a point. Yellow as the complement of violet, both related to Buddhi. They are both related to Buddhi. Yellow, man and Buddhi, and violet, solar logos and Buddhi. And of course, the purple ethers have kind of a higher correspondence in the higher ethers. So there is always violet connected with Buddhi because Buddhi is the source of manifestation. But it's a very good point about the complementary nature of yellow and violet. Now, 4 are the colors secondary in the cycle of discrimination in which the revolution taketh place. Oh, ho, ho, wow. Just reading that as if for the first time. Now, let's make a few correlations. What is the cycle of discrimination? What does it say to you? What kind of discrimination are we talking about? we're talking about rounds now, aren't we? Rounds. So somehow can we call the fourth round the cycle of discrimination? And if we did, why would we do so? Okay, choosing the right path, okay? And, like the Ajna Center here, and here's the number 4, ruled by Mercury, and the Ajna Center, is it going to be the right-hand path or the left-hand path? In Atlantis, which way do you go? See, that's a factor. Okay, now, how can you back that idea up? What are the 4 powers found on the 4 subplanes of the top 4 subplanes of the mental plane? Remember, there are 4 cities or 4 powers found on the top 4 subplanes of the mental plane. Look in page 188 of your book. What do you see? (188) and following. It's on the mental plane. Read from the top down. No, I think you're not reading just the mental plane, you're reading everything having to do with hearing. Here, I'll show you. Let's go to page 188 and following. Physical, astral, mental. So, plane number 1, it'll actually be the other way around. It'll be spiritual telepathy. Yeah, that's really plane number 1, subplane number 1. It's going in the reverse order. Plane number 2, response to group vibration. Subplane number 3, spiritual discernment. Subplane number 4, what? The cycle of discrimination. Number 4, Mercury, between the low and the high, midway. You see what I'm driving at? The round number 4 fits with the 4th subplane of the mental plane in which discrimination is learned. What do you discriminate? What is this discrimination? This sort of Saturn-Mercury discrimination. Between what and what? I think we already said it, didn't we? One way is the soul, and the other way is the left-hand path of matter. And it's being decided in this 4th round, where the great war in Atlantis was fought, a number of wars, but always between, in this Arjuna 4th ray consciousness, which side of my family do I fight with? Do I fight with the soul-inspired part? Do I fight with the matter-inspired part? What do I fight? And you have to make a choice, don't you? But you can't make the choice unless you can discriminate as to what is the soul and what is the personality. And in the beginning, you said, they're both members of my family. I can't fight against one or the other. They're my family. So you see what I mean? This factor of discrimination comes in on number 4 with Mercury. And in a way, if we're looking for the rulers of a particular round, ours is the 4th round, Mercury would be pretty strong and pretty important, wouldn't it? It would also be a moon round in a way. The moon gives the 4th ray, and into our Earth chain came the moon chain in this 4th round, in the 4th root race, in the 3rd subrace. So you see how the numbers tell a story. So there are 4 other colors which are considered secondary colors in the cycle of discrimination in which the revolution takes place. Now, revolution, what does it mean? Okay, what does revolution mean? What happens? Let's say, yeah, okay, of course, it's usually the relationship between a body and a center, right? But there's another way to look at the word revolution. Means changing direction and overthrowing a past tradition. We're having a revolution, American, French, Arab, whatever you want to call it. Having a revolution now, we're overthrowing the old order. If we make the right discrimination, that word revolution can mean that we are now following a new path, namely the path of evolution instead of devolution, or we're not going deeper and deeper into matter, we're not being more and more personal, we are having a revolution in favor of the soul. And if you discriminate rightly, you will have that. Now, in some forms of numerology, such as the kind, let's say, that Anamina uses, actually Uranus is connected with the 4th ray, Saturn with the 8th, or number 4, and Saturn with number 8. So there is a revolutionary power connected with the number 4 and with Uranus. We're having a 4th round on the 4th chain, and we're making a very big decision. What is the esoteric ruler of Libra, the sign of decision? Right? It's a radical decision. So we're overthrowing, in other words, it's almost like instead of going clockwise, we're going counterclockwise now. It's almost like instead of we're on the wheel of form, we're going to be on the wheel of consciousness. And it's all being decided in the 4th group. Fourth round. Now, what are these other secondary colors? Well, we have red, green, yellow, and orange left. Violet and purple I think of as varieties of the same. In other words, he says the etheric body is a physical body. It's the same. Violet and purple are the same, except one is denser and belongs to an older order, namely purple. You know, we were not told of the Black Lodge that one of their horrible colors is loathsome violet, were we? We were told loathsome purple. So that connects with that great deva of a material nature who has captured them. Purple, not violet. And yet they are of the same 7th ray quality, one denser than the other. Now, here's another hint. 4 are the colors secondary in the cycle of discrimination in which the revolution taketh place. I'm not saying it means only an overthrow, not by any means. It also means, as you say, the cycling. And here is the statement. It's circled to the midmost point and somewhat past. Now get out your theosophy and tell me what this means. It, the round, it's circled to the midmost point and somewhat past. What does that mean to us? Yes, and now let's have the details. You are correct. Let's have the details. When was the midmost point reached? Recently? Well, that's going back too far, because now we're talking about the midmost point of our planetary chain and its rounds. Going back too far if we go to the past solar system. Where are we now? We're on the upward swing because on the 4th chain, in its 4th globe, in its 4th root race, in its 4th subrace, in Atlantis, The midway point was reached. And now where are we? We've had 4 sub 5, sub 6, sub 7, 5 sub 1, sub 2, sub 3, sub 4, sub 5, entering sub 6. So now we're in the 4th round, all right, but we're no longer in the 4th root race, although there are many 4th root race tendencies and types among us, but the emphasis is on the Aryan consciousness. We're not anymore in ancient India, 5 sub 1, nor in ancient Egypt, 5 sub 2, nor are we in the Mesopotamian cultures, what do you call it? Who are the great astrologers? What is their name? Like Sumerian, can't think of it. 5 sub 3, anyway, they were the great astrologers. 5 sub 3, of which the Arabs are the inheritance. We're not anymore in the Celtic races of Italy and Ireland, although they're very strong, nor are we only in 5 sub 5 of Europe and part of the United States and Australia and New Zealand. We're in 5.6. We're entering 5.6. Therefore, the 4th round, circled to the midmost point in Atlantis and somewhat past, going through a few sub-races and is into the next sub-race. So that makes sense, right? And so it tells you this is all about our planetary scheme, our 4th chain, and the 4th round of our planetary scheme. Now, it may have other applications. We don't know exactly where the solar systemic round is. I suspect that we're supposed to have 7 rounds in our planet. So I suspect we're in the 4th large round. I don't know exactly where we are in that 4th large round. Maybe it's stopping on the Earth as well. When it comes to our solar system, we, I think, are also in a 4th solar systemic round, but I don't know. He says we are midway through our solar systemic process, which means that I suppose if we're going to have 7 rounds in our solar systemic process, we're somehow stopping in the midway area, which is sort of Earth or Venus or Mercury, somewhere in there. 4, 4, 4, so many 4s. But this fits exactly. We are in the 5th root race, in the 5th sub-race, going into the 6th. Fits exactly. We're a little bit past. Okay, so speaking of the Earth chain, on the Earth globe. Okay, let's just read that, to get the continuity of what we just said. Four are the colors secondary in the cycle of discrimination, the 4th round, in which the revolution taketh place. And that revolution takes place during a revolution. It is circled to the midmost point and somewhat past. That's what we've just been reading. And those other colors are red, green, orange, and yellow. Now, if you're going to look at red, green, orange, and yellow, and you're going to consider them secondary in our present 4th round, do we have a good reason to think so? Maybe we should just concentrate on why blue, violet, and rose are primary. Anyway, green is not so important, right? Green is the color of what? Well, it's many good things, but of course it's the color of the moon chain, it's the color of the previous solar system and of the 3rd ray, which we're trying to outgrow, right, on this 3rd ray personality planet. So, because it has a special connection with just sustaining the physical vehicle. It refreshes one. It's not the main point, but we need the vitality. And it's a very good color in healing in general. I mean, all colors are very useful. It's just the question is, what is the planet emphasizing? You know why the planet can't emphasize green at this time? It wants to get beyond its 3rd ray personality in a cycle which is to bring in its 2nd ray soul. That may or may not be the case. Well, that is not what Leadbeater and the Tibetans say. Actually, the color yellow, golden yellow, is what they give for the heart chakra. And when you just are lining up the spectrum and laying them on the chakras, you get green for the heart center, you get yellow for the solar plexus, you get all kinds of things. I don't think those correspondences work, actually. I think green is not appropriate for the heart center. In terms of the law of correspondences, it's a third-ray color in a second-ray center. I can show you the place where he deals with it. He definitely assigns a golden yellow to the heart center. He assigns a green to the solar plexus and rose. He assigns blue and silver to the throat center. He does not assign indigo per se to the ajna center, the way so many people do when they just lay the colors out on the chakras. Just like, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Nor does he necessarily assign purple or violet to the head center. He has a number of assignments there. Indigo or blue is part of the ajna center, but so is rose and yellow, and so is purple or violet. And when it comes to the base of the spine center, there is some red, and when it comes to the sacral center, there is some orange. As far as the solar plexus being yellow, not at all in his assignment. So until we're able to see these things with clarity, we have to remind ourselves that there are different ways of assigning colors to the chakras. Not really. Not really. Not really. Here it is. Here it is in Cosmic Fire. Orange, but, it doesn't even start with red. The base of the spine, 4 petals. These petals are in the shape of a cross and radiate with orange fire. Base of the spine, Vulcan, Mars, an orange planet in a way. The solar plexus, 10 rosy color. 10 petals rosy color with an admixture of green. The heart center, 12 petals glowing golden. The throat center, 16 petals of a silvery blue with blue predominating. The head center in its 12 divisions. Here is some purple. Here is some purple. No, this is the ajna. One half of the lotus being rose and yellow, the other half blue and purple. So not just like people say, oh, it's indigo. No, it's much more than that. The top of the head, a center consisting of 12 major petals of white and gold, which is the zodiac center in your head, and 960 petals arranged around a central 12. And he doesn't give a color because they're probably so synthetic they have everything, including basically the white. Anyway, this is what he says. It is 168, and this is Leadbeater's assessment, and DK includes it. And basing what I say upon a similar statement, but not necessarily exactly congruent. So, it makes sense to me. I just go with the law of correspondences, and I want to make sure that these colors make sense. Now, but I do understand how when you lay the spectrum out on the chakras, why it occurs that way. Okay. Yellow the band that cometh. What do you think? What is a band? A sphere. A sphere. A band is a sphere. Yeah. And it's not now. The yellow is secondary now, but I bet it will be very important in the 6th round. And why might I say that, whether I'm right or wrong? What does it mean, yellow the band that cometh? Well, okay. Well, you're not far off there. You know, it says 12 petals glowing golden. Okay, it's not exactly yellow, but gold and yellow are very close. What is the 6th principle? As the principles are usually counted in occultism. Okay, 5th principle you ought to know is what? Number 5? 5th principle? It's not a vehicle, it's a principle. What's the 1st principle? What's the 7th principle? Hey, now, wait, what is a principle? A principle is a quality of energy with a special function that is part of the monad and is expressed through the vehicles which the monad uses for its expression in the 5 lower worlds. So if I say, what's the 5th principle? You should know that right away. How about manas? Okay. Then what's the 6th principle? Buddhi. And what's the 7th principle? Atma. Okay. Very good. You know, we really ought to have quizzes, don't you? Wouldn't you like tests? I mean, really, you know, maybe, okay, a pop quiz, kind of like a surprise quiz that would just last an hour and would determine whether you can go on or not. All right, let's just have a meltdown over this. I think we really ought to. Anyway, yellow the band that cometh, and why? Yellow the band that cometh. Buddhi is coming, right? Ray 4 is coming. But when's it coming? You see, what does it mean? It's cometh. It's coming in the development of man in this chain and in this scheme. Yes, they are, but that may be very short term. From the monadic aspect, the number of Ray 4, well, do we want to call them souls? I don't know. It says Ray 4 is appearing in terms of its monadic aspect in the year 2025. So anyway, we're not in the yellow yet. We're not in the yellow. We may be in kind of an intellectual yellow, one of the lesser, what would we call it, a non-sacred yellow is ruling the 5th ray. So, you know, sometimes you see a human being like Leadbeater shows you the aura, and around the head is yellow. And what this means is that the person can think pretty well. There's some sort of, you know, non-sacred 5th ray operating around the region of the head. Yes, is there a connection between yellow and Mercury? Yes, absolutely, yellow and Mercury. And Mercury is, as we know, assigned to many levels of the mind, but certainly to Buddhi, to the transcendental mind. Mercury and Buddha are equivalent terms. So Buddha is the name in Sanskrit for Mercury. Buddha, Buddhi, Mercury. Okay, yellow the band that cometh, we don't know when, but it's coming. If a human being, as a member of the 4th creative hierarchy, can finally express itself the way it wants to and should, won't it be yellow? Remember what we said the other day, that the 4th creative hierarchy, its service is upon what plane? 4th creative hierarchy, monads of the that are on the monadic plane, but look at the table of creative hierarchies. Where is the fourth creative hierarchy of human monads focused? We said that. And we talked about how they are mediators, didn't we? Between the this and the that, right? There they are. There they are on the fourth plane of Buddhi. Yellow, the band that cometh. When the reappearance of the Christ comes, will Buddhi come with him? When initiation is in process, is Buddhi growing in the consciousness of man? Is initiation coming? Yellow, the band that cometh. We're not there yet. Not for that pure lemon yellow with the synthesis petals, etc. We're not there yet. What? Yeah. Oh, your break. No. Yes. The first protest has been lodged. Okay. We are moving towards the Buddhic emphasis for in relation to the human family. Yellow is the color of Buddhi, the correlation with yellow. Orange, the cloud that hideth. I'll tell you what. That's such a juicy one. I'll let you think about that while you have your break. Oh, is that good? I mean, really, that's good? Okay. Orange, the cloud that hideth. Then we're going to read this thing all together and see if it has made any sense at all. Okay? All right. Enjoy your rather short break. I'm sure she means it. Okay. Well, you know. Okay, we're going to take a little break here, folks. Some of you are awake, I'm sure, and others perhaps not. We'll come back to the idea of orange, the cloud that hideth. We're dealing with this 13th stanza, which is the planetary and solar systemic process in terms of color. Summarizing, we've said basically that the purple is the basic color representing the dense physical plane. It will be absorbed. It will be absorbed by the blue and rose. Blue and rose meaning astral and also synthetic colors in relation to the causal body. We're looking at the colors of our particular round at the moment. The most important being the blue, rose, and purple, violet. Secondary being red, green, orange, and yellow. And he's dealing with these right now, and perhaps why they are secondary. We talked about revolution of two different kinds. Revolution is overthrow, and revolution is simply the progress of a round. And we're moving towards a color consummation at the end of this stanza, in which all things will be properly balanced, but at different times there are different color emphases. We're trying to understand what they are at the moment. So we'll be back shortly.